Let's see. So basically the idea here is, if you can see my shoulder, that this will be mounted up here. And there'll be two of them, like one here and one here is what I'm thinking. So one here, and that accomplishes the task.
This video is sponsored by Dragline Dynamics LLC. Are you building a supersuit but you're unsure how you're going to change into it without anyone noticing? Symbolite can help. Whether you're a cosplayer or a real-life superhero, protect your secret identity with Symbolite. Order now at www.dragline.tech. Or if you want superpowers and want to know how you can make it real, consult our expert who has graduate degrees in engineering and a decade of research experience. Schedule your consultation today at www.dragline.tech. Dragline Dynamics is democratizing technology for modern heroes, and that means you. So I've been building my inventions for over a decade now, and while it's been real fun building these goopy fluid shooters, they're obviously missing out on one of the main abilities enabled by those more fictional versions. For a superhero, mobility is everything. How are you supposed to get from point A to point B? For search and rescue personnel, who, let's face it, are our real superheroes, using ropes to travel is extremely familiar. They rappel, they belay, but oftentimes their equipment requires multiple operators and limit the agility and autonomy of the rescuer. What I'm trying to bring to this space is a new type of wearable rappelling device that allows the user to have complete control over the descent, and even bring the rope with them. Essentially, this device becomes an extension of their body, a real superpower. I knew from the start that this project would be split into two parts: the friction module, which applies friction to the rope and allows for slowed, controlled descent, and the motor module, which allows for quick deployment and storage of the rope. I also knew that I didn't want to rely on a hook, a device that serves as the attachment point between the rope and the environment. This creates a point of failure I wasn't comfortable with, both with the hook itself and any knots which could create a stress concentration. For optimal rope storage, I needed to use a thinner rope, which I can 100% trust to hold my body weight in the absence of these stress concentrations. With these constraints in mind, I had the opportunity to do something creative with rope placement. Instead of relying on hooks or knots, I can use the environment itself. Let me show you what I mean.
So you've got your friction module, then you've got the rope, right? And the rope goes around one side like that, okay? And around the other side like that.
A single rope attaches to me at both ends, looped around a rail or a pole in the middle.
Okay, so the railing or whatever, that's part of the building.
This means the rope only needs to support half my body weight. The friction module would also be the main point of attachment between the rappelling device and the user. I needed a wristband that was strong enough to distribute the load to the user's arm. Luckily for me, I already had something that would work: gymnastics grips. For the rest of this module, I eventually landed on a design where a lever system couples the rope tension and the normal force which causes friction. I wasn't satisfied with this until the friction force alone was enough to stop my body from descending, which it definitely didn't do at first. Check this out. The key to fixing this was positioning the fulcrum as close to the point of frictional contact as possible, and simultaneously extending the lever for maximum mechanical advantage. I did the best I could for a single lever, and it still wasn't enough. But it was pretty easy to make two of these levers, and that increases redundancy in the case of failure. Just an added bonus to the method. Finally, I had something that held me in place. I added a handle on one of the levers so I could control the descent with my other hand. Originally, these levers were made from aluminum, but on one test, one of them broke at the thinnest point, causing me to fall a little bit faster than normal. Still, this wasn't a fast enough descent to be dangerous, suggesting that my design has the safety factor I predicted it would. I had these same parts custom made in steel, and countless tests later, they haven't failed.
Got a very large mechanical advantage between this point and this point here, and that will push down on this bearing, which will squeeze ropes that will go in.
What's nice about this module is it's fully mechanical. No electronics, just a mechanism. Can't run out of battery. It's pretty handy, and it works on its own without what we're going to talk about next. Given my rope attachment solution, the motor module would have to contain 2 motorized pulleys. One would have to store the entire rope while the rappelling device is not in use. To attach the rope to the environment, the user simply loops one end of the rope through the attachment point and fixes it to the empty pulley. I do this with magnets. I basically sew a little magnet at the end of all these ropes. It's kind of a handy solution. Then, if the motors move synchronously, the full pulley unloads onto the empty one until both pulleys contain half the rope. Then rappelling can begin. After rappelling, the rope can be loaded back onto the initial pulley, and the system is perfectly reset. Even though I knew this general idea of the design from the start, I went through many iterations before I came on the design that I have now, which basically uses brushless motors and a large mechanical advantage belt system to couple the pulley to this motor. It works pretty well. It can spin really fast, which is exactly what I wanted.
I've got the reel here. You can see nice little power switch situations on my arm. I'm sorry I don't have a mic to film this. Sounds like Spiderman Lotus up in here. So I can set the mode by going here, and orange is one direction. 1, 2 for orange, 1, 2, 3 for blue. We can blue goes in the other direction. You can see this rope has magnets. Also, side note, look at this. Huh? How about that? Bet you didn't even know it was in here. Or maybe you did. But anyway, yeah, if you want one of these with your own design, let me know in the comments below, because I might start selling those. And I finally figured out a way to make it manufacturable. Nice. Look at that. How about that? Just a few seconds.
Initially, both pulleys on this design were the same size, and this served me well for small tests. But I really wanted to be able to traverse a few stories of building. I realized embarrassingly late that one pulley could actually be twice the size of the other, and this allowed me to double the length of the rope I was storing from 30 feet to 60 feet. The motor module took many iterations to get right. A belt system was a pretty early contribution, but I had to literally reinvent the wheel over and over again until it worked smoothly. This motor is fast. It can wind 50 feet of rope up in just a few seconds. As such, friction and wear is kind of a huge issue. Adding ball bearings was a huge help, but I still spent almost a year getting the clearance and stiffness of the parts just right so they don't rub against each other. At one point, 2 parts even welded themselves together from the friction. The belt pulleys were tricky as well, and also became welded to the belt on occasion. The belt is made of thermoplastic polyurethane, which is pretty durable and a common 3D printable material. But if the input pulley is made of some kind of polymer as well, the welding is kind of inevitable. Making custom metal pulleys is pretty difficult, and there were no options for commercial parts that fit the bill. Finally, I realized I could use some empty bobbin spools I had lying around, and they worked wonderfully. Wow, I'm so happy to be coming to you guys on the day I'm editing this video, and hopefully it'll be released tomorrow. So, tension of the rope was another huge issue that I encountered. If the rope wasn't properly tensioned, you get bunching up of the rope, and it wouldn't be able to properly store all of the rope on the reel. So initially I had this elastomeric tensioner that I just printed in TPU that would sort of tug on the rope a little bit as it was wound in. But as you can imagine, that wore away pretty quickly as the rope moved past it at really high speeds. So I definitely needed something made out of metal which wouldn't wear away. So I turned to this coil spring idea that I came up with, which I think is pretty cool. You'll notice that with coil springs, if you stretch them out and push them together, you can superimpose two of them just like this. And so what I ended up doing was superimposing two coil springs up here at the top and at the bottom, and the rope forces this gap in the middle, and it sort of nicely suspends the rope exactly where it needs to be and applies tension on it in the segment that's inside the reel. So it works pretty well, and I even added this switch system here so I could control the tension in the rope. So you can see here, as I flip this switch, there's no tension on the rope, and when I flip it back, there is tension on the rope. This definitely helped me organize the reel winding properly. See, look at that. Look at that. This is actually the most recent version of the rappelling reel. As I am recording this as I'm editing the video, I really like this tensioner idea I came up with because it really eliminates a lot of the wear that I was dealing with, and I would get bits and pieces of polyurethane everywhere, and it was really gross. So I'm very happy to have come up with this.
Wear is really the hardest part about building a device that needs to be light, cheap, fast, and strong. It really is one of the most understated problems in hobby engineering, and I've never known that to be more true than with this project. Harder still is to get the ropes to move synchronously, and to this day, there's still work to be done. Up until this point, I've taken a feed-forward approach, assuming that if I line up the relative speeds of the reel just right, I can make sure the rope has significant tension during the transfer process. Sometimes this works. Sometimes it doesn't. It's really hard to predict. I feel like a feedback control approach would be well suited to this problem. You need some kind of sensor on the reel so that their speeds are always synchronized. I did try something like this briefly. I wanted to use an ultrasonic distance sensor to essentially tell me how much rope is on the reel, and that informs the speed at which the reels move, basically what point in the unreeling process you're at. Unfortunately, this sensor was just too inaccurate. I don't think it was smart of me to think sound waves could bounce reliably off of a textile material to sense the difference between just a few centimeters. And these few centimeters are extremely close to the sensor. While I'd still love to figure out the synchronous loading and unloading of the rope, I found the easiest way to get this device to work is to just pull the rope out of one pulley manually and only activate the other pulley to transfer it. It's not as streamlined, but it works, and the more complex, reliable solution is still available in the future if I have the time and money to pursue it. I have a pretty handy controller which allows me to double tap a pressure sensor to change which reel is being activated. Then I hold the same sensor to activate that reel. Fitting the motor drivers and microcontroller into the design in a compact way was really tricky, but I think I did a pretty good job. With all of these innovations in place, it was time for the big test. To put my life on the line, literally. to show my invention was safe. 2 stories is already a pretty deadly drop, especially if unintentional. But I knew from all the smaller tests I had done that my device could do it.
Okay, so I've got to look from up there to see if the double rope can reach all the way down here. That's the first thing we've got to do. Okay, we're like a quarter of the way down. Some not so great noises coming. Oh, come on. Come on. Okay. See, are we at the bottom? Oh yeah, we're at the bottom, baby. He's getting stuck. Come on. Just tested this. There you go. You have to improvise here. You can always improvise. Yeesh. Okay, we're gonna do this. Oh my God. Really? Am I gonna do this? Alright. Faster the better. Dude, I look like an idiot. Oh my God. About to do this. Oh. Whew. Come on, come on. Yes, come on. Oh, oh, woo! Oh my God, that was terrifying. All right. Here you go. Yes, okay. Reset. Jesus. Ah. That was terrifying. I cannot even begin to explain how terrifying that was. But baby steps. Oh, come on. I'm shaking. Can you see that? Oh, jeez. We are good. We lived. Jesus. Oh, my, oh my. Okay. Let's get out of here.
So with that test of the device done and in place, we're left with the fun part, just getting to mess around with it.
Okay, so there's this big North Campus structure here. My plan is to climb on top of it, and I really want to rappel off of this. I want to go upside down, just like Spiderman. That's what I want to do. It's really high. Not quite as high as my highest attempt, but I'm trying to be upside down. So it's a little tricky.
Sort of worked. Tricky thing is, once I have both hands on this thing, it's sort of like, because I can't hang upside down with just one hand, so I have to use both hands. That has my other hand activate this lever, which makes me go down. So it's, you know, I can't exactly just hang there. I have to hold onto the rope, which I didn't really anticipate. So yeah, it was fun.
So what do you guys think of this project? Let me know in the comments below. It was something I thought of 2 years ago now, 2022 summer. I figured I could do something like this for the first time. Don't forget to leave a like, and all you have to do to support projects like this is to subscribe to the channel. That's it. I have to say, while it was fun getting this device to work with a human user, I've already started experimenting with how it could enable robots to conduct search and rescue missions as well. As much as I love risking my own life, I can only do that for so long. I don't talk a whole lot on this channel about my personal life or my real life as I think of it, but I think that's gonna have to change if I truly am to be allowed to move forward. I'm 25 years old. It's been 10 years since I started this channel. I've done a lot in those 10 years. I've made some successes, some failures. I've been driven, distracted, motivated, depressed, inspired, and put down. I've tried to do what I can for the communities I've been a part of, whether that's in real life or online. But if I'm being honest, my impact is not what I thought it would be 10 years ago. I mean, that's okay. I was 15. I was an idiot. But that doesn't mean I'm stopping. I'm just one person, not two. And I'm not going to stop anybody from seeing that anymore. Even though I've spent most of my life striving to be something I'm not, I always prefer to think of it as a never-ending journey. And that's not a bad way to live. To keep learning, working, and helping others as much as I can. And I see no other way towards this goal than to fill the divide in my life. Anonymity and secrecy has become too much of a hindrance. I need to sacrifice mine so others can keep theirs. The lack of legitimacy, support, funding, and organization has plagued this operation long enough. As such, I've officially formed Dragline Dynamics LLC, a private enterprise that engages in both scientific research and product development. And yes, continued content creation on the side, don't worry. Over the next year, I will be looking for funding from all possible sources, venture capital, government, anything I can get my hands on. I need to hire some of my amazing and talented friends as video editors and fellow researchers, and I want to pay my employees what they deserve. I've been spread too thin to make substantial progress on my own. In 1 year, I will graduate from the University of Michigan with my PhD in mechanical engineering. There will never be a better time in my life to try this full time, so I'm gonna do it. But I will truly be on my own. Entrepreneurship is essentially unemployment, so I will need your help. Any help. Patreon, $1 a month, $5 a month, doesn't matter. First of all, understand that I worked extremely hard for my degrees. It's part of the reason why I've posted so sparsely over the past 10 years. I have a bachelor's in mechanical engineering with a minor in electrical engineering. I have a master's of science in engineering, and soon I will be a doctor. A title which came with intensive experience in robotic algorithms and artificial intelligence. These degrees are all from one of the highest ranked universities in engineering, so trust that I know what I'm talking about. As such, I will be starting off Dragline Dynamics as a consulting service. Any project, idea, or concept you think I can help with, I would love to advise you. Just $10 for an in-depth 30-minute one-on-one session. One-on-one. Don't worry, I'll prepare for these beforehand based on information you give me, so don't expect the session to be taken up by you explaining your idea. The session is going to be for me to get you results that you want. So visit our official website, dragline.tech, to help out. As mentioned before, here you can also purchase our first available product, the Symbo Light, a sleek, flexible LED shape you can sneak under your clothes and activate when it's your time to shine. And you can schedule your consulting sessions here as well. I'm excited to work for you, I really am. In return, I only hope that you can support me as I try to survive. If I can just be vulnerable for a second, I'm more terrified of this journey than I ever was jumping off of buildings. So I'm forever grateful for all of you who have supported me over these years and for those who will continue to support me while I finish and defend my thesis and beyond. Thank you, and as always, stay amazing and vote on November 5th.